Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show for you as we head into the weekend, and it's going to be a chilly one, so you should go back and watch all of the Crime Talk videos we put out over the years. And what do we have for you today? First, the former Olympic snowboarder turned drug kingpin got arrested in Mexico City. We've got the former Michigan football coach, Sherrone, showing up to court to ask for a continuance. Amanda Knox is seeking some more attention. The Illinois doctor enters a not guilty plea in the Ohio double homicide. A woman in England is convicted of stabbing her estranged husband over him euthanizing her pet. The man who told young girls that age was just a number, well, he finds out that 15 will get you 23 years in prison. But hey, it's just a number. We've got this day in legal history, our legal quote of the day, and our dumb criminal who is, well, proud of what she did. You be the judge of that. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. Now, you know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment below, hit that little bell for notifications, and yes, you can check us out on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Now, before we get to the docket, now we've been telling you for a while, go to crimetalkprep.com, go there, sign up for your emergency supply kit for food. Everything else, for power, water, emergency heats, everything. Go there, sign up for it. And why? I keep telling everybody, it's a crazy world we live in, right? There could be some sort of bad terrorist attack, or there could be some sort of weather incident that, say, for example, a big old cold front's coming in. It's going to bury the South in, an inch or two of ice. And since they don't really handle ice very well, there's going to be, things going on. I talked to my daughter in Dallas the other day. She said the stores were overrun by everybody, and there's basically no food left in the stores because people are panicking. So what do you think, ladies and gentlemen? If you have your own emergency food supply, you don't need to panic. You can just write it out. And when everybody else is panicking, you say, don't need to worry. So go there, crimetalkprep.com, get your emergency food kit. And when you do, guess what? You can get 3 months supply. They're going to send you $400 worth of free stuff just to get you started. Go check it out. You're going to be happy that you did. All right. Let's go ahead and get to today's docket for Friday, January 23rd, 2026. And first on the docket, that's right, the former Olympic snowboarder, a guy by the name of Ryan Wedding, accused of being a drug kingpin and murder, gets arrested. So in what would be a significant development for the international law enforcement, Ryan Wedding, the 44-year-old former Olympic snowboarder and fugitive on the FBI's 10 Most Wanted, has been apprehended in Mexico. Authorities confirmed his arrest Friday morning, marking the end of a high-profile manhunt that spanned multiple countries. Now, Mr. Wedding, who competed in the snowboarding at the Olympics before allegedly transitioning into a more lucrative career in organized crime, faces now serious charges related to an extensive cocaine trafficking operation. Prosecutors allege that he directed a network responsible for transporting large quantities of cocaine from Colombia through Mexico and then obviously into Southern California to destinations in Canada and other locations within the United States. Now, in addition to drug-related offenses, he is accused of ordering several murders to protect and advance his criminal activities. Now, the United States Attorney General Pam Bondi announced the arrest via a post on social media platform X, where she stated, quote, "At my direction, Department of Justice agents and FBI have apprehended yet another member of the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. Ryan Wedding, the one-time Olympian snowboarder, turned alleged violent cocaine kingpin. Wedding was flown to the United States where he will face justice. Now, the statement underscores the collaborative efforts of federal agencies in pursuing this high priority target. Now, Wedding's placement on the FBI's most wanted list occurred back in March of 2025, as declared by the assistant director in charge of the FBI's Los Angeles field office at the time. And at that time, he was linked to aliases including El Jefe, Giant, and Public Enemy, James Conrad King, and Jesse King. A recent photograph of Wedding, believed to have been captured in Mexico during the summer of 2025, was released by the FBI last month to aid in his identification and ultimate capture. To incentivize public assistance, the United States Department of State had offered a reward of up to $10 million for information leading to his arrest, in addition to an additional $50,000 reward from the FBI. Now, these incentives reflect the severity and the seriousness of the charges and are obviously take Mr. Wedding as a great threat to the country. Anyway, Mr. Wedding has been transported to the United States, where he is expected to appear in court to answer to the indictment against him, including murder and money laundering in connection with the drug trafficking organization. Obviously going to be an interesting story, just the fact that the guy, went from snowboarding to drug kingpin. That's a big deal. Anyway, we'll bring you more information on that as it becomes available. It's going to be an interesting case to see. And these drug cases, understand, ladies and gentlemen, they usually have you wrapped up pretty tight, particularly in the feds. Now, of course, the case will drag on for several months, even though under the federal speedy trial laws, from the time he enters a plea of not guilty, they have 70 days to get him to trial. Now, could any attorney probably be prepared to represent him in that short amount of time? No. But then you also have to think about, do you think the government would actually be ready to go to trial in 70 days from now? Getting all their witnesses, be like herding cats. Sometimes it's the best defense, is they're unprepared. Next on the docket, the former Michigan coach, Sherrone Moore, seeks a delay in his case. So in the Michigan courtroom, the former University of Michigan football coach, Sherrone Moore, attended a probable cause hearing accompanied by his wife, Kelly Moore, not his girlfriend. Anyway, the couple entered hand in hand, with Moore seating his wife in the public area before joining his legal team. Now, during the session, Moore's attorney, Ellen Michaels, requested a 30-day postponement to obtain crucial evidence, including the accuser's phone records and relevant Title IX materials from the University of Michigan. Michaels argued that these documents contain statements and other information that could undermine the accuser's reliability. The prosecution raised no objections, leading the judge to reschedule the hearing until March 19th. In addition to that court date, he's also set for February 17th, when Moore's team will argue to have his active arrest warrant invalidated. If successful, it would prevent law enforcement from arresting him or conducting searches based upon current charges. Now, Moore faces one felony count of third-degree home invasion and 2 misdemeanors, stalking and breaking and entering. These accusations arise from an event back on December 10th, the same date he was fired from the coaching position at the University of Michigan. According to police records presented in prior hearings, Moore allegedly entered the home of a university staff member with whom he had maintained a 2-year intimate relationship. The relationship reportedly concluded on December 8th, when the staffer informed Moore she wished no further contact. Over the following days, Moore is said to have made repeated calls and sent messages to the staffer. Then on December 10th, Moore purportedly arrived at her residence uninvited and declined to depart when asked to do so, prompting the staffer to contact her attorney, Heidi Sharp. Sharp then alerted emergency services, reporting that Moore was inside the home and assaulting his client. She further alleged a prolonged pattern of stalking and a background of domestic violence, describing Moore as a highly dangerous individual. Responding officers heard from the staffer, and the encounter left her profoundly frightened, apparently. And Moore, while denying the violence claims, acknowledged the prior romantic involvement to police news. And Moore was detained at the Washtenaw County Jail that evening and released after 2 days following his initial court appearance, with bail secured by his wife. The couple shares 3 young children. Professionally, Moore's termination stemmed from breaching a 2021 university guideline that discourages romantic ties between supervisors and subordinates. And although not an absolute prohibition, the policy mandates that the superior refrain from initiating such relationships and promptly report them to enable oversight measures to prevent power imbalances, coercion, or favoritism. And as a result, for the for-cause firing, Moore forfeits, wait for it, $12.3 million in his remaining contract guarantees. Now, it remains uncertain if Moore intends to contest the university's decision. His legal battles continue as the investigation unfolds. This is going to be another interesting one, ladies and gentlemen. This classic, God, man, the guy's making, a $30 million contract. And he's just about all the way through. He has $13 million remaining, $12.3 million remaining. And he just can't seem to just want to go home to his wife and 3 young daughters at night. No, he wants to go get it on with the young female staffer and risk it all. Ladies and gentlemen, work relationships never work out. Never work out. Don't do it. Don't do it. The boss should never have anything to do with somebody underneath them. Bottom line, remember the guy that got fired for being at the concert with his girlfriend? Was it worth it? No, don't do it. And everybody knows what's going on, and everybody talks about it. And then they all talk about how unfair it is. All right. So just don't do it. And it never, ever ends well at all. And particularly when your wife finds out about it because you got arrested for breaking into your girlfriend's apartment, it's really going to end bad. God, what are people thinking? Next, Amanda Knox seeking a little more attention. That's right. In another significant personal milestone, Amanda Knox returned to Italy back in 2022 to meet directly with the prosecutor responsible for her initial conviction, an encounter now documented in a forthcoming film directed by her spouse. How convenient. Anyway, Miss Knox, an American whose high-profile legal ordeal captivated global attention, features prominently in Hulu's Mouth of the Wolf. Amanda Knox returns to Italy. Now, the documentary provides an in-depth look at the journey to the nation where she endured imprisonment following her 2008 conviction for murder of her British roommate, Meredith Kercher. Kercher had been subjected to sexual assault and a fatal attack in 2007. Initially identified as key suspects, Knox and her former partner, Rafael Solicito, were convicted, only to be fully acquitted years later. Forensic evidence ultimately led to the 2008 conviction of Rudy Judy, whose genetic material was discovered at the crime scene. Now, Judy's original 30-year sentence was later shortened to 16 years on appeal, and he was granted early release in 2021. Since her exoneration in 2015, preceded by her release from custody in 2011, Ms. Knox has pursued a career as an author and advocate for criminal justice reform. She wed Christopher Robinson in 2020, and the couple shares 2 children. Robinson helms Mouth of the Wolf, which, according to promotional materials, offers viewers exceptional insight into Knox's experience. Now, the film, scheduled for release on Hulu and Disney Plus on January 26th, is going to chronicle Knox's participation in the conference hosted by the Italy Innocence Project. It builds to a pivotal interaction with Giuliano Magrini, the lead prosecutor in her case for nearly 2 decades prior. Now, the project follows Hulu's 2025 limited series, The Twisted Tale of Amanda Knox, which dramatized the events with actress Grace Van Patten in the role. Now, Knox's stories continues to be highlighted because of the wrongful convictions and the influence the media had in those judicial proceedings, drawing interest, obviously, from around the world. Now, obviously, wrongful convictions are bad things. I think most people would say convicting the wrong people of a crime is a bad thing. But is it just me, or does it seem like Amanda Knox every 3 to 5 years comes up with a new reason to revisit her story? I mean, she has a right to do so, but it just seems a little curious to me that how it always just seems to come up every 3 to 5 years with a new something. Anyway, let me know if you watch it. I don't think I'm going to. Next, the doctor accused of murder says not guilty. The Illinois-based physician accused of fatally shooting the former wife and her husband in their Columbus residence last month has formally denied the allegations during a court appearance. Michael McKee participated in his arraignment via video link from the Franklin County Detention Facility on Friday morning. He faces 4 counts of aggravated murder and 1 count of aggravated burglary involved in the use of a firearm equipped with a suppressor stemming from the December 30th deaths of Monique Tepe and Dr. Spencer Tepe. Now, he was dressed in the standard inmate clothing, and McKee remained silent throughout the brief proceeding, and his legal representative, Diane Mensa, declined to pursue bail at this stage of the proceedings. Now, the incident initially perplexed investigators due to the absence of forced entry, a left-behind weapon, evident theft, or additional acts of violence sparking widespread media interest. Police apprehended McKee near his professional location in Rockford, Illinois, approximately 11 days following the events, and he was extradited to Ohio earlier this week to face charges. What do we know? So McKee, originally from Ohio, attended a Catholic high school in Zanesville, located about 55 miles east of Columbus. Records from the Ohio State University indicate he began his undergraduate studies in September of 2005, coinciding with the enrollment of his future spouse, then known as Monique Sabaturski. Both completed their bachelor's degrees in June of 2009. Sabaturski later obtained a master's degree in education from the institution in 2011, and while McKee earned his medical doctorate in 2014. The couple wed in Columbus on August of 2015, but separated by May of 2017 when Monique initiated divorce proceedings, which concluded the following month. At that point, McKee resided in Virginia. His professional path included a vascular surgery fellowship at the University of Maryland Medical Center, completed in October of 2022. He held medical licenses in California, Nevada, and Illinois, where his license activated in October of 2024. Now, McKee was employed at OSF St. Anthony Medical Center in Rockford at the time of his detention, though the facility has not disclosed his exact tenure. Additionally, he was listed as a defendant in a 2023 personal injury case in Las Vegas. Now, a grand jury in Ohio issued an indictment against McKee last week for the slayings. Prosecutors allege he unlawfully accessed the Tepe home, armed with a silenced firearm, shot the victims in the upstairs bedroom, and then departed through a dimly lit adjacent alley. The Columbus Police Chief, Elaine Bryant, stated that surveillance recordings from that night of the incident captured an individual matching McKee's description in the alley. Further, a firearm recovered from his Chicago residence matched ballistic evidence from the scene, and tracking data confirmed the vehicle's travel from Columbus to Illinois post-incident. Now, efforts to obtain a statement from McKee's counsel were unsuccessful, and the charges include 2 aggravated murder counts per victim, 1 for premeditation and 1 for the act itself, along with the burglary offense. Now, a conviction could result in a sentence ranging from life imprisonment with parole after 32 years to life without the possibility of parole. So law enforcement in this particular case performed a welfare check at the Tepe's home around 10 a.m. on December 30th, prompted by concerns from Spencer Tepe's colleagues at an Athens, Ohio dental clinic, who noted his uncharacteristic absence. Now, a subsequent 911 call from an acquaintance reported sighting a body describing Spencer Tepe's form slumped behind a bed amid bloodstains. The Franklin County Coroner's Office classified the deaths as homicide resulting from gunshot injuries. Now, relatives portrayed Monique and Spencer Tepe as exceptional individuals characterized by affection, happiness, and a strong interpersonal bond. Monique was remembered as a devoted parent, enthusiastic baker, and meticulous organizer. The couple exchanged vows in 2020, as noted in their combined obituaries. Now, Spencer Tepe graduated from Ohio State University with a bachelor's degree in 2012 and earned his dental surgery doctorate in 2017. He belonged to the American Dental Association and contributed to Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Tragic story. It's going to be interesting, ladies and gentlemen. I'd be curious to see. Obviously, they say that they have the vehicle. They have what they believe to be is, the good doctor walking down the alley. And it'll be interesting to see if the science backs up the claim that the same firearm was used at the residence that was located at the doctor's residence as well. Probably, obviously he's entitled to the presumption of innocence. The good doctor is, but it seems like, maybe some good police work here. We'll have to wait and see if it turns out the way they wanted to. Next, an English woman convicted of wounding estranged husband in rage over euthanized pets. That's right. Listen to this. In a case highlighting the emotional toll of marital separation, a 64-year-old nurse from Norwich, England, has been convicted of wounding with intent after stabbing her estranged husband upon learning he had euthanized their 2 rescue dogs. Claire Bridger was cleared of attempted murder charges following a trial that examined the circumstances leading to the July 2025 incident. Bridger, a mother of 2, arrived at her husband, Keith Bridger's home on July 17th, 2025, to deliver items belonging to their daughters. The couple had separated in April of that year and were attending mediation sessions. Now, according to court testimony reported by the local media there, Bridger had initially taken responsibility for the family's 2 adopted dogs, but left them in Keith's care during an extended visit to family in London, where she sought support amid the breakup. While away, Bridger received warning from one of her daughters that the dogs, which had behavioral challenges, were proving difficult to manage and might be euthanized. Dismissing the concerns as an attempt to encourage her return, Bridger testified that she believed the family would never follow through with such a threat. Upon her arrival back in Norwich, she consumed a double gin and tonic before driving to Keith's residence. As she pulled into the driveway, Bridger noticed the absence of the dog's usual barking. When questioned, Keith informed her that he had arranged for the animals to be put down, citing the challenges in their care. Bridger described an overwhelming reaction, likening it to an explosion in her mind, leading to a blackout. She then retrieved a knife from a bag in her vehicle and stabbed him in the chest and abdomen. Obviously, EMT people responded, and audio from the call played in court captured Bridger shouting accusations about the dog's deaths. She was subsequently arrested and faced charges of attempted murder and wounding with intent. Now, at the trial that concluded on January 13th, the jury acquitted Bridger of the more serious attempted murder charge, but did find her guilty of wounding with intent. In her testimony, she acknowledged responsibility for the assault and the intent to cause serious harm. A psychiatric evaluation presented by the defense suggested that the combination of alcohol consumption with the intense emotional distress may have contributed to memory loss during the event. Well, Bridger remains scheduled for a sentencing on March 20th as the court considers the full context of the domestic dispute and its tragic escalation. Next, the man that said age was just a number finds out that, yes, those numbers can get you prison time. Like 15 will get you 23. That's right. A 15-year-old girl would get you 23 years in prison. So, a 24-year-old man from Weslaco has been handed a 23-year federal prison term for coercing an underage girl into sexual conduct following a pattern of predatory behavior involving multiple young victims that he had contacted via social media. Please meet Walter Phillips Wilkins, engaged with at least 4 adolescent females through Instagram as detailed in law enforcement records from the police department there in the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office. Now, in several instances, he offered illicit substances or vaping devices as incentives, while in others, he demanded explicit images of leveraging them for extortion purposes. These interactions often escalated to in-person meetings where assaults occurred. Federal prosecutor Devin Walker described these circumstances as profoundly disturbing, emphasizing the severity of the offenses during the proceedings. Now, Wilkins targeted victims in West Laco and surrounding rural areas in the Hidalgo area. The investigation began in 2022 when a 15-year-old disclosed an assault to a social worker, prompting involvement from the sheriff's office. The victim, identified in records as a minor victim 1, connected with Wilkins via a mutual acquaintance and communicated on Instagram. Upon learning her age, Wilkins reportedly dismissed concerns by stating that age holds no significance. And then in October of 2022, he transported her to a scheduled location and committed the assault. Police subsequently charged him with second-degree felony sexual assault, but he secured release on bond within 2 days. Additional reports surfaced in 2023, and in September, a parent alerted the West Laco authorities that Wilkins had victimized her daughter, promising vaping products in return for sexual acts. These encounters took place over 3 separate occasions in August and September, resulting in assaults. Charges of second-degree felony sexual assaults followed, with Wilkins again posting bond shortly thereafter. And then in October of 2023, another complaint emerged involving a girl who sought to purchase drugs from Wilkins, unable to cover the cost. She was assaulted. Police examination of the Instagram account revealed promotions for sales of vaping items, pharmaceuticals, hallucinogens, and related products, accepting payment in cash or alternative forms. A third incident in December of 2023 involved a 13-year-old contacted by Wilkins, who solicited explicit photographs, and after online exchanges, he arranged a meeting in a white sport utility vehicle, perpetrated an assault, captured it on video, and issued threats to distribute the recordings among her peers at school. Now, Walker characterized this as a deeply traumatic experience, particularly for someone of middle school age. Wilkins faces charges for first-degree felony continuous sexual abuse of a child and was released on bond once more. Now, the cumulative evidence led to a federal investigation, culminating in Thursday's sentence of the enticement charge. And it just kind of goes to show you, ladies and gentlemen, you need to be careful out there and see who your kids are talking to on Instagram or any other form of social media. And, you know, the ironic thing is, I was going through that story. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is almost exactly like a case that we have right now, targeting young people online at high schools for drugs. Oh, you can't pay for those drugs? How about a little, and yep, 13. Not good. Not good. How about we jump to this day in legal history? On January 23rd, 1915, the United States Supreme Court issued its first decision in Mutual Film Corporation versus Industrial Commission of Ohio, ruling that motion pictures were not protected under the First Amendment, and thereby affirming the authority of the states and cities to censor films prior to exhibition. This precedent established early limitations on free speech in emerging media forms and influenced censorship practices until it was overturned in 1952. On January 23, 1933, the 20th Amendment to the United States Constitution was ratified, adjusting the commencement dates for the president and congressional terms to January 20th and January 3rd, respectively, to reduce the lame duck period following the elections. And this addressed the ineffectiveness in the transition of federal power particularly during a national crisis. And then on January 23rd, 1964, the 24th Amendment to the United States Constitution was ratified, prohibiting the imposition of a poll tax as a prerequisite for voting in federal elections. This measure eliminated a discriminatory barrier that had disproportionately affected low-income and minority voters, advancing voter rights protections. Now you may say, Scott, what's a poll tax? Well, there could be lots of things like, oh, how many jelly beans are in my jar? Oh, you didn't pick right. Sorry, you don't get to vote today. Or historically, these poll taxes were used to restrict voting rights, required individuals to pay a fee as a prerequisite to voting. A prominent example in the state of Alabama, for example, where in 1901, its constitution had that voters were mandated to pay an annual poll tax of $1.50, with the fee accumulating if unpaid in prior years, effectively disenfranchising many low-income citizens, particularly African Americans and poor whites, until the practice was outlawed by the 24th Amendment in 1964. As well as subsequent federal legislation. Next, our legal quote of the day. One of the foundational legal principles regarding searches incident to arrest in the United States jurisprudence is articulated in the Supreme Court case of Chimmel versus California, and it's a 1969 case. And the opinion was written by Justice Stewart, where he states, quote, "It is reasonable for the arresting officer to search the persons arrested in order to remove any weapons that the latter might seek to use in order to resist arrest or effect his escape. Otherwise, the officer's safety might well be endangered and the arrest itself frustrated. In addition, it is entirely reasonable for the arresting officer to search the arrestee's person and seize any evidence to prevent its concealment or destruction, and the area into which an arrestee might reach in order to grab a weapon, or some evidentiary items might well be called the area within the immediate control, construing that phrase to mean the area from within one might be able to reach or gain a possession of a weapon or some sort of ability to destroy evidence," end quote. Anyway, this ruling limits the scope of warrantless searches incident to arrest to the arrestee's person and the immediate surrounding area, emphasizing justifications rooted in officer safety and evidence preservation. Now you may think, why is that relevant? That's what they're litigating once again in the Luigi Mangione case in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Do they get to search Luigi Mangione's bag that was in arm's reach of him after they determined it was Luigi Mangione and that he had a warrant for his arrest? Going all the way back to 1969, the United States Supreme Court has said, yes, the officers can do that. That's why I just bring that up. Wasn't going to go through the whole Luigi Mangione thing, but there's the law on that matter. And how about our dumb criminal of the day who is quite proud of what she did? Let's go to Waco, Texas. We have a new champion of bad decisions, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's please meet Kavanye Diggs. Now, you may say, Kavanye, yes, I know, common spelling. But for those that are maybe a little challenged by the spelling of Kavanye, let me spell it for you. Kavayanna. Kavanya. Kavanye. Tomato. Either way, common spelling. Anyway, we'll just refer to her from here on out as Miss Diggs. Apparently, Miss Diggs was so furious that someone posted a video of her using drugs that she chose the nuclear option. That's right. She uploaded a video of that same person performing fellatio on Facebook. The clip showed the victim's face, apparently quite clear. The account, adorably subtle. KK's. It's her. Anyway, when the police came knocking, Miss Diggs didn't deny it. In fact, she proudly admitted she reposted the video in retaliation. Bingo, instant felony. Unlawful disclosure of intimate visual materials. Lessons of the day, ladies and gentlemen. If you're going to commit revenge porn, maybe don't use your nickname as the username and then give the cops a full confession. What can you say, ladies and gentlemen? Miss Cavagna Diggs, truly one of the greats. Real classy, too. Real classy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the program. We'll see you next week. Stay warm. And when you're saying, wow, all the power went out today, it's cold in here, I should have got my emergency food supplies and $400 of free stuff by going to crimetalkprep.com. And you can get these battery packs too, so you can keep your phone and your computer going when the power's out. Think about that. Maybe I need to light a candle. Oh, do you have matches? Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Be prepared. It's not paranoid. It's called being prepared. We'll see you next time. And remember, the Constitution matters.